There's a quest in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 called the Hermit, which is a bit tricky and a multi-part quest that basically sends you off to try and find the Hermit and to end up with this sword, which is a sword that you'll craft at the blacksmith. And essentially, there are some steps in this which are a bit tricky, so I thought it would be worth giving you some tips if you're stuck where I am, which is basically trying to find the location for the steel sword. Now, when you go to visit the Hermit, you might have talked to him and found he was a bit confusing and not much help. However, if you go in at night and sneak around into his hut, you can basically get the solution to this. I'd recommend, first of all, setting Mutt to stay so it doesn't follow you in, assuming you've already got Mutt, of course. And then you're going to sneak your way into this. If you go in at the right time of night, you'll find the chap here is asleep, so you don't have to worry about him. And you can just sneak in, make sure you've got your sneaky gear in so you're not clanking around in there with armor on. And then have a little look around and you'll find various different chests to loot. And of course, you can pickpocket him as well. Now, there are a number of chests that are worth going through here because you will find a variety of interesting things that are pretty handy to have in here. So I would recommend looting it as much as possible. And you'll see if you pickpocket him, you'll also find some good stuff on him. So it's worth doing that. Just take care that you've got decent skills on this so that you can pull this off. So I'd recommend using saber schnapps beforehand. But you'll find that he's got a book, for example, that'll be handy, as well as a few other things worth taking. Now, we'll read that book in a second, but what I found that might not be obvious is that you actually have to go upstairs. If you go upstairs, you'll find yet another chest that you can lockpick, but this isn't actually what we're looking for either. There's just lots of potential loot around here, so if you like thieving, then you can do that. And you do get a sketch for a broadsword, so it is worth doing. If you look in the corner here on the left-hand side, you'll see that there are some sacks that you can pick up. These are usually the sort of sacks that you have to do in a quest in other parts of the game where you've got to move sacks around from one point to another. So I thought it was strange that these were here. So we're going to move those out of the way. And this is what you need to do in order to access the next part. It's not immediately obvious, but it is here. So grab these sacks, move them out of the way, and then underneath those sacks, what you're going to find is there is another book. Now this book actually has the next clue as to where we need to go. So when you pick this up, you'll see it's called The Diary of the Knight Comrade. And basically, you're going to read this diary, and at the end of that, it'll give you a clue as to what's happening. You can just flick through the pages if you don't want to, obviously, read the whole thing. But the end paragraph is the one that matters. Basically, it gives you a clue as to the location. So it basically is saying that you need to go to these birch trees up on the hill, and there's a grave there. You come out of here, turn left, follow the path round. Keep going, and up between this area, this big tree here, straight up. You hear that sound. If you look to the left, you'll see a white tree, and you keep going straight. And then on your right here, you'll see this birch tree, which is white. And it's like two together. If you look off that way, you can see the castle. And then you'll see the sword as well. And then that should be it.
Now that's what I call steel.
You can dig that grave as well and loot in there too, which is worth doing. But you need to grab a sword. That's the important point. And then you need to take it back to the blacksmith. At which point he'll tell you to basically craft the sword. And I won't share all the story with you because there's some nice bits to it that you'll discover as you're going through this process. But you'll need a few bit of ingredients, and then you'll go into the section here and craft the long sword. And when you've gone through that, you should find that you're smithing it and you're getting this that you can then hand to the blacksmith. And what I found when I completed mine was that it wasn't perfectly done, so it actually needed repairing as well. It's worth bearing in mind you might want to take it to the wheel and repair it to its maximum. And this is the same with a lot of blacksmithing. If you went around already, sometimes when you're crafting the sword, they're not come out at maximum health, which means that they won't have as much value and they won't do as much damage. So it's actually worth going to the repair wheel and just grinding it on the stone to then repair it to full health. So you can see there's a 75% health there. So you just need to sharpen it up by rubbing it on this stone and keeping the sparks flying until it says that it's complete and that it's fully sharpened. And hopefully this has helped with completing this quest. If you enjoyed this and found it useful, please check out the link in the description to more tips and tricks for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, because I'm doing a lot of videos on this game. Thanks very much for watching.
What would you like?
I've got something for you, blacksmith.
God's nails, you weren't bullshitting.
I'd say it looks pretty much like a sword, eh?